Hello Flickering Myth family and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ Marino and prepare to enter the Matrix once again. Yes, we are talking about the Matrix Resurrections. I hope you've prepared to take your red pill and jump down that rabbit hole because The Matrix is back and, dare I say, better than ever? Okay, it's not better than the first film, which is a classic, which is a film that can never be touched. That first Matrix movie is absolute perfection, but I will say this feels like a worthy follow-up, and that's not to discredit the two sequels. Like, Reloaded and Revolutions have exactly what they need to for fans. There's enough in there to kind of sink your teeth into, but there's just something that I wasn't able to connect with. Maybe they were too intelligent for me, maybe the lore was a bit too deep, but something about Resurrections just made it feel easier. I was able to digest the past films a bit more, but also was able to kind of move forward and have new ideas presented and new mythos and stuff added that I don't know, I was able to follow a Matrix movie, which I haven't been able to do really fully since the first one. So it's a sigh of like relief here of just going, this is a pretty fun movie. Yeah, a fun movie. The other two Matrix movies get a bit very serious. There's a lot of the more heady things. There's a lot of the deep lore. That's still here. This is still very real. There's still a lot of very deep conversations being had, but I was able to kind of let that all go and have fun as well. That was the most important thing. I walked away entertained. I laughed. I actually had laughs and smiles in a Matrix movie. Again, I like those other two. Like, they have their place and they definitely earned something, but at the same time, they're not that fun. This was a fun movie, but it never really let the fun kind of take over everything. There's still very deep stuff. There's still some very meta things as well. Yeah, we will talk about the meta ideas. I've never seen a film quite like this. Does it feel like the Wachowski's New Nightmare or Scream a bit, but also has similarities to this year's Space Jam? Though Space Jam was an abomination, and this is a pretty fun movie, so it's a bit hard. I've never really seen a movie quite like this, and that's why it's so hard to just process it. There's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of things to enjoy. There's a lot of things people won't enjoy. So I will say this is going to be one I'll say off the bat. Watch it for yourself. If you're a Matrix fan, definitely go into this with an open mind. If you've never been a Matrix person, oh boy, this might be a little too weird for you. Set 20 years after the events of Revolution, we are now seeing Neo, who is back to being Thomas Anderson, in a simulation in a weird life. He's having a seemingly ordinary life, but there's still those weird little moments to him. He's having weird glitches and seeing visions of things that aren't supposed to be there. He's also going to a doctor who's prescribing him some blue pill for his visions, and I'm like, oh boy, they're trying to keep him in here. So what is Neo's life living in this ordinary life? Well, he's been making a video game, a very popular series that is very inspired by the first three Matrix movies. I'm not going to spoil anything here, which I could actually probably spoil the whole film for you and you still wouldn't understand. But yeah, basically Neo has made a video game that feels so inspired by those first three movies. So there's a lot of meta conversations here. There's one person being like, well, what was the Matrix even about? Was it a capitalism thing? Was it about trans rights? Like, there's just so many little details in those opening moments, maybe like the first 45, that feel very meta, that really dives into the lore, the mythos, the legend that is the Matrix. And that's so weird to see. Then the movie starts picking up and, Neo starts going back into what we know. We start finding out what the actual plot is. He sees a woman that looks exactly like Trinity, but they don't remember each other. There's a disconnect there. She describes herself as Tiffany, and I'm like, oh boy, yeah. So they start trying to work forward towards this. Like, Neo gets with a new group of hackers led by a new Morpheus, who we will talk about in a moment. So good. Yeah, and he has to face the bad guys, try to win back Trinity. It's a pretty easy story. I won't get into crazy details, but what I did appreciate was the love aspect of this movie. The real touchingness, the story of Neo and Trinity and how much he loves and cares about her. That is the central part of this story. Yes, it's the cool hacker stuff. Yes, it's about the Matrix and what it means to be, unplugging yourself and to be to be woken up into the real world and get those visions, that's still there. This is still definitely trying to be a serious film, but there's a lot of more fun comedic elements. There's the actual romantic plot, and I really felt for Neo and Trinity's relationship here and the crazy dramatic measures he goes to get his girl back. It is great to see. Yeah, this was an overall fuller experience than some of the other Matrix movies. This really brings me back to that first film that came out in 99 that really said a lot. It had all those elements. It was funny. It was a good romance, so we started seeing the Neo and Trinity stuff. Yeah, this really brings me back to that, but it still has the heaviness. It still has this insane amount of, yeah, you have to know some Matrix stuff to get into this, like the Sentinels and all that, and what is the Matrix, and who's doing it, who's the architect this time, who's the analyst. We will talk about them too. Yeah, this is just definitely a film that I was able to process everything. I was able to experience it. I'm sure I'm still not getting stuff other people are getting, but I thought this was a way easier story to follow than most of the other ones. The biggest highlight in this film is the amazing cast. Oh my goodness, did everyone fire on all cylinders here? Keanu Reeves is back as Neo and doing the damn thing. I was worried his aesthetic would be way too similar to John Wick, but that's not here. No worries there. He definitely changes up his look a bit when they get into the real Matrix stuff. Yeah, I liked that. I thought Neo was a good fleshed out character, had more layers to him than ever before. That tragicness of like, do I stay here? Do I go? There's more of a struggle that I relate to with Neo in this film. It's less about him being the one and the god, and it's more about him being like, yeah, I've done that life. I'm trying to have a normal human life, and do I want to live that? Yeah, those are the conversations I like, and it allows Neo to be a better character. Carrie-Anne Moss as Trinity, oh my goodness. When she picks up at the end and really starts getting into where we know what Trinity is, goodness, she is the best. Like, Carrie-Anne Moss really has made this character so famous for so many of us, and she sticks out and is so awesome. I absolutely love Trinity. I will also say one of my favorite parts of this is Neil Patrick Harris and Jonathan Groff, two actors that I'm always just like, they're fine. I'm never like against them, but I'm never for them. Wow, Jonathan Groff as Smith, oh my goodness, he's not Hugo Weaving. He's definitely not that level of like, wow, you're doing the damn thing, but he's really good. The way he said Mr. Anderson once, I was hooked. He plays in the more simulation video game side of this movie. He plays Neo's boss, and there's some fun tension there. There's some really good moments. Cannot wait till you see that. Neil Patrick Harris as the analyst. He's kind of the mustache twirly villain, and I did not expect that. It's pretty obvious once you get into the movie, but it was really, really cool to see how he played his role, what he did with his role. I cannot wait for fans to see it. I think he was a delightful surprise, but the biggest surprise for me, other than those two, which again, that comes with personal bias, not being the biggest fan, but I love this guy, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. Oh my goodness, as Morpheus, I was heartbroken when Lawrence Fishburne was not returning, but I am happy that Yahya was as good as he was. Like, he's had a great year, from the Trial of the Chicago 7 to Watchmen to Aquaman to like being in Candyman. He's had a great time, and now playing the new Morpheus, he is great. There's times where he did remind me of Lawrence Fishburne. It's a weird thing where he is trying to play Morpheus, as we know, but there's newer, different layers to him as well, and there's a different personality. Yeah, I really liked him. I thought he was a pleasant surprise in this film. Everyone does good. This is just like Priyanka Chopra, Jada Pinkett Smith, all of these people who are here adding to the story. It just makes it all a great experience. Also, the new character named Bugs, I enjoyed her. Yeah, going with the Space Jam thing and her feeling like Bugs Bunny. Yeah, definitely felt very strange, but she played a good audience surrogate. She is somehow a fan of The Matrix, but also into this herself. It's very refreshing. Loved her character, loved everything, and the character-wise. Story gets a little bit weird, and the visual effects are strange and out there, but overall, I go back to those characters, and they all win me over. Is this the Wachowski's version of Scream, A New Nightmare, or one of those other very meta kind of things? Yeah, actually, this is. The meta-ness is going to really be the divisive factor. The fact that this movie is aware of so much in the Matrix, and it's kind of making references, the use of flashbacks to other scenes as callbacks. All of that is really going to be interesting. I was worried it was going to feel very Star Wars The Force Awakens, where it was just very like, isn't it fun to look back at our day and we're just going to remake the same movie but add a new fresh coat of paint? No, no, no. This is more like, I can't believe I'm saying this, please don't get pissed at me, people. This is a bit more like The Last Jedi, where it's trying to push it. You see the homage and the respect to back in their day, but they're still trying to push it forward in a new form of storytelling, in a new way of telling the story. The meta-ness. I truly laughed out loud at some of the references and just the little moments where Keanu Reeves is just playing somehow all versions of Keanu's character. There's a little bit of like a Bill and Ted aspect here. There's a little bit of a John Wick aspect. There's more like, I mean, hell, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like, there's a bit of everything he adds to this role, and I just felt like it was so fun to make this aware, to add that extra metatextual level. There's going to be so much in here that you need to watch this movie twice to pick up on all those little references. I swore I got some, and I was just like, that's funny. Oh, they're redoing that scene, but the way they're just doing it, it's just so interesting, so much fun. This was exactly what I needed. That meta-ness is things I like. I am a product of Wes Craven, like the New Nightmare and Scream, those referencing, those meta-ness. I love that, and I need more of that, and that's why this is such a high-ranking, entertaining film for me. Is this going to be one of the most divisive blockbusters of the year? I think so, but at the end of the day, that's what makes Matrix Resurrections a bit more interesting. If this was just a bland blockbuster that had cool action scenes that everyone could just go, well, that was fine, I didn't want that. I would rather have people passionately love it and passionately hate it. That is how films, I think, should be. I'm curious of where you're gonna land. What do you guys think of this new Matrix film? What do you guys think of the Matrix franchise in general? Share your feelings down in the comments below. Subscribe to Flickering Myth because we make videos like this every single week, and give us a thumbs up if you did enjoy this video. Alright everyone, let's talk about the Matrix Resurrections and all of this craziness down below.